Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the International Book Show, hosted by myself, Makonnen Sankofa. And as well as being the host of the International Book Show, I'm also authors of the books The Rise of Rastafari, Life in Gambia, How to Market and Sell Your Book, and A Guide for Beginners. No, sorry, How to Market and Sell Your Book, A Guide for Beginners and Experiences of Living Across Africa, which is my latest book. Now, for those who are new to the International Book Show, if you're watching and listening for the first time, this is a platform, it's a webinar which happens online the last Sunday of each month. Some of us are watching live via Zoom. There's also, people that will be watching and listening via Facebook and then watching the recording as well via YouTube. So a variety of authors will be coming on the platform and, sharing, giving a preview of what their book is about. We have authors, internationally in different parts of the world. Some will be in UK, the Caribbean. We've got authors in USA on this particular episode. So you'll be hearing, from a lineup of talented authors. This particular show, is a special show because it is the it was the 4th year anniversary earlier this month, the 3rd of May. Celebrated the 4th year. The 3rd of May earlier, this celebrated the 4th year that the International Book Show had been launched. So it started in, May 2020, and I'm proud to say, we're in, May 2024, and it's still here and it's going strong. We do have a wide range of people that listen from different parts of the world, and over the course of the 4 years, I've had almost 400 authors, publishers, and booksellers that have been on the platform. So it's a really massive achievement, and I'm really happy with that. So you will be hearing from, as I said, a variety of different authors that will be speaking about their books. The authors have a different period of time that they'll be talking. Some authors have got 15 minutes and some have got 10 minutes. A few house rules before we start. For those who are accessing the show via Zoom, please make sure that your microphone is on mute if you're not speaking. If you want to, again, you can switch your camera off. It's up to you whether you're author, if you want to have your camera off or on. That's up to you. Also, authors, please mention when you're speaking, where people can purchase a copy of your book. Also, put in the chat, but also bear in mind there's people that are going to be accessing the show via Facebook and also YouTube. So mention where your books are available. Now, the first author I'm going to go on to now is Bati Dure. And Bati, she's actually one of the sponsors of the International Book Show. She features regularly. And Bati, she's going to speak about her book called Worth. So Bati, welcome again onto the International Book Show. Thank you for your support in being one of the sponsors. And yeah, please go on to tell the audience about your book. But first, before you do that, just tell them where you're based for those who don't know, a brief introduction about yourself, and then, tell us all about your book, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much again for the invitation to be here. I'm very honoured. Makonnen and company, thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to hearing all the rest of the authors on the show today as well. So my name is Bati Dure, and I'm actually with an Indian name, but I'm of dual heritage. I'm part African and I'm part Asian. I'm based in England, in the UK, where I work as a child protection in social services. So my book is called Worth, and it depicts me, well, not me necessarily, but a young girl walking through the red ash streets of Uganda, where I was born in 1960. My book is available in Amazon. In the USA, I know it's available in Barnes and Noble, and obviously Amazon as well, and via Kindle, via ebooks. And in the UK, it's available in Waterstones, WH Smith, and all small bookshops, bookstores, as well as Amazon. I know this is available in Canada as well, and actually even in Uganda, because somebody went to Entebbe airport and found my book there. So I was very honoured to hear that. So my book is called Worth. And why is it called Worth? It's about my story of, as I said earlier, being of dual heritage, African and Asian, and being adopted by an Asian family in 1960s Uganda. And the reason I called my book Worth was because we go through life where we have experiences that build our sense of worth up, and experiences that build our sense of worth, bring our sense of worth down. So no child is born without a sense of worth. When we are born, we grow, we expect to be nurtured, to be loved, be cared for. As we get older, we hear messages from the community or family around us, and we start developing a sense of unease, for want of a better word, regarding our identities and who we are. And in my case, because I was of dual heritage, I became very aware of the community's racism towards Africans, and they considered me African. So I grew up with messages around racism. You know, my family were told, my parents were told, why are you adopting an African child? She's going to bring great dishonor to the family. My father was told, people are going to think you've had an affair with an African woman, and then that's going to impact on the marriage prospects of the rest of the children in the family, the cousins, and so forth. Then there was a sexism, you know, people saying, why are you adopting a girl? Why not a boy? A boy is going to bring you more worth than a girl is. A girl is just going to be a burden on you, and especially this girl, because she is of African Asian heritage. Who's going to marry her? She's going to be a burden on you for the rest of your life. And so alongside that was the colorism, which was about my color. And in my book, which is Worth, I have written about being lost in identity, in my racial identity. Culturally, yes, I was being brought up as an Indian, but racially, I was African through and through. And so it was really difficult to come to terms with both sides, because both sides rejected my identity. There was prejudice about me being illegitimate, and that was again from both the African side and the Asian side. And as I grew older, I started to realize that all these experiences, all these actions, all these words had a real impact on my sense of worth. It took many years, I would say up to my early 30s, before I totally accepted that I was beautiful in my own right, and I had a right to be here, and I have a purpose to be here, just as we all do. All of us who are showcasing our books today, or whatever talents we're bringing, whatever skills we're bringing, whatever we're bringing to the table today, we all have a sense of purpose, and we all have the right to be here, and the right to be heard, and the right to speak. And for many, many years, I felt I didn't have that right. So that's why I call my book Worth, because it was just about the sheer impact of the various prejudicial attitudes and the notions that people had about me and who I should be and what I should be. And in my book, I've written about, you know, as a baby, my parents took me on the ship to India to meet members of the family, and how some random stranger decided I was an affront to society, because he made the assumption that my mother had had an affair with an African man, or my father had an affair with an African woman, and decided that I should not exist because I was such an affront to his sight. So he tried to throw me overboard, and there was a huge fight between him and my father trying to save my life. And I sometimes think, in terms of sense of worth, what gives somebody the right to decide that based on your color, based on your race, based on your caste, based on your gender, you know, based on the circumstances of your birth, i.e. illegitimacy, based on maybe disability or illness, what gives somebody the right to decide that you should not exist on this earth? So my book is just essentially about exploring things from a child's perspective, the growing realization of those prejudicial attitudes, but also to challenge all of us to accept human beings as they are, to be humanist, to be humane, and not judge or stereotype or, decide that somebody doesn't have a right to live or doesn't have a right to live in your community or your society because of who they represent. So somebody who was very important to me in my family was my mother. And I just want to talk a bit about one chapter, which is called A Mother's Courage. I'm not going to read from the book, but I'm just going to show you the book again. It's called Worth. And sorry about that. It's on a mobile phone. So it's just, I need to get myself a laptop. I really do. When I get royalties from the book, I'll get myself a laptop, I promise. The Mother's Courage, there's a chapter called A Mother's Courage, and it's about when we left Uganda in 1972. For those of you who don't know the history, President Idi Amin decided to order all Asians out of Uganda in 1972, giving Asians 90 days. Obviously, I'm adopted in an Asian family. And my mother, very bravely and very courageously, was refused to leave me behind when she was ordered at gunpoint to do so by the soldiers on the road. And I often think, how different would my worth and my life have been if she had not obeyed the edict, if she had obeyed and said, okay, I will leave this daughter behind, but she didn't. There were 5 of us all together, and she put her life and my siblings' life at risk by saying, no, I'm not going to leave my daughter behind. So I'm just going to finish off now because I've got a slight chest infection and I am struggling a bit. So I just want to say, this is my book and it's called Worth. And it's available in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, in the UK, in Waterstones, and all leading bookstores, in Canada as well. And I just hope that you will come out and support my memoir, please. Thank you very, very much, Makonnen. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to me. I appreciate you all. And I look forward to hearing your stories. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Bati Dure, and her book is titled Worth. Bati, can you see the screen at the moment that I'm sharing? I just want to check that people can see it. It's got your
Yes.
book.
Oh, yes, there it is. Yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. I just wanted to share it. So the author is Bati Dure, and her book title is Worth. The places that you can buy the book from is it's available on Amazon, Waterstones, Barnes& Noble, Bookshop.org, Booktopia, and Indigo. Once again, the author of the book is Bati Dare. The title of the book is called Worth. You can see a picture of the book there as well. And the places that you can buy the book from is Amazon, Waterstones, Barnes& Noble, Bookshop.org, Booktopia, and Indigo. So thank you very much, Bati. I'm now going to go on to the next author. I don't think Sister Legette from Nubian Nagis Books is here yet. Oh no, she is Sister Legette. You are here, Sister Legette. If you'd please like to unmute yourself and put the camera on
Yeah,
and tell us about
greetings.
what you do.
Yeah, will do. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes, yes, we can hear
greetings.
you. Where are you?
Yeah,
Tell
you
the audience
can.
where you are, because I know you're somewhere special, but I'll let you tell us, where you are.
Just gonna put the volume up just a little bit. Okay, greetings. Can you hear me now? Everything's fine?
Yes, yes. Tell the audience where
Oh,
you are.
lovely. Okay, I am at the African Liberation Day. We call it a day, but it's a 3-day event in Nottingham. And it's let me just get the leaflet. Hold on now. Okay, family, that's where I'm at the moment. And this is in, oh, sugar. Sorry, this is in Nottingham. It's a 3-day event, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And it is the 61st anniversary. So it's talking about different themes. We basically want to help people with agriculture, health, well-being, industry development, innovation, science and technology. And today we have several people speaking on different topics. Now, my name is Sister Legette. I'm from Nubian Books, and I sell quite a lot of books in the community. And I have a customer here, a gentleman, and McConan, would you believe it? He actually picked up your book, Life in the Gambia. Isn't that so? Yeah? Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he just came to the table. I'm not sure if you can see. Oh, hold on. My table is here, everyone, with my books.
Yeah, you can see I can see my books there, the marketing book, The Life in Gambia and The Rise of Rastafari.
Yeah. So the gentleman was thinking, are you going to Gambia at all, planning to?
I'm hoping to.
He's hoping to go to Gambia. So this is an excellent book as it tells you all about getting there and what to do and seeing the accommodation, the Smiling Coast. So you've got all the different chapters with what's going on. So yes, as I said, I've been doing my books for a number of years, and I met Brother McConan, my Prince. I call him Prince McConan, everyone. And I met him over a number of years, and I used to always go to Luton. So when he was with the 100 Black Men, so it was always good. So I started just doing some of my books, and it's always a pleasure to be actually on the program. So what I was going to do, I'm going to just quickly walk you through. Oh, you can see just the back of me. And this is just like one of the setups. Oh, I know how to do it now. That's just the backdrop. So I'm literally, this is just the shopping area where all the stalls are. So my books, I have a different genre of, actually I need to go backwards, isn't it? This is just some of the items that they have. This is this is Murray the Milkman. Where are you? This is an author. He actually came.
I know him. Hello, Murray. He's been on the show before.
He actually came to Murray, that's a new book.
Latest book there.
Latest book there. And this is a Tan. Yeah. And these are just some of the books. But he's an actual author. He's actually came on the platform. So he's got another book. Yeah, yeah. Make sure you come and purchase. And we've also got he's got the Hidden Sign. I don't know if you can see that. The Hidden Sign.
The Hidden Signs of Melanin by Leon Marshall. By Leon
Marshall. Yeah, Leon Marshall. Yeah, so what I do, I sell books, but my books are basically, I want to push the Black British authors, because we always talk about the American authors 24/7. So I have a genre where a lot of the authors, they come, I mean, I've been recommended by a lot of people, which is a real honor. And a lot of the authors are from Britain, and they have different genre, history, food, etc. And like McConan, he went to Gambia, so he wrote that book. Also the marketing book as well. So this is again another esteemed person in our community. And he's selling books as well. And
Whose stall is that, Brother Manuel?
yeah, Uncle Emmanuel, I'm live.
Oh,
I'm live on Makona and Stankofa.
oh,
Hey,
hello.
Emmanuel.
Yeah, greetings,
Greetings,
family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We've live and kicking on the Africa Liberation Day in Nottingham, day 2, and it's very, very exciting here. We have exciting speakers. We have Robin Walker and Vasco Stevenson coming on very soon, and it's going to be a great day.
absolutely
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm just a little teenager in the book business, whereas Emmanuel's books. Yay. Of books, yeah, beautiful event because it's just, I hope, it just promotes what we do as a family. So it's on its 61st anniversary. So it's just not today, the occasion has been taking place. So as I said, being on this platform has been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to promote books. So I actually speak to the authors themselves or authors who are self-publishers and publishing companies as well. So it's just been a great journey and absolutely knowing the authors. So one of my favorite lines is actually just keep writing because everything that you write there is going to touch somebody.
Is that
And
Robin
by
Walker there?
touching one person, oh,
Just get him in for a
Robin
second.
Walker. Oh,
Hello,
yes,
Robin Walker.
Walker is one of our esteemed historians in the community and in the United Kingdom. And he wrote the book. Let's get it here and we can show. So now you see the author with his book, When We Ruled, and that is the man himself. So it's an exciting time. I try my best not to miss African liberation because it's just so good. We as we as African people, this is how we get together. We purchase our own goods, clothing, food. Yeah, is there another somebody else? Food, and the other lady's got shea butter that comes straight from Ghana. So this day is very sacred. I just love. Oh, somebody said, I'm fine. I just love coming every year, trying my best not to miss it, because this is the time when we can discuss what we need to do as African people to go forward, and we just leave generational wealth, our legacy, and the books are fantastic. That's one of them. I cover them when I get Brother's books, Rise of Rastafari. I do another lady, she does about natural hair, and this is her hair. So I do all different topics as well. So some of you might have contacted me in the past, and I have not been able to keep up with what's going on, but it's all good. This is about sickle cell, and this story is so good. The way she's put it in a family trilogy. Oh, fantastic. I just couldn't put the book down, you see. So you would like to translate your author's book, can you? Okay, I'll have a look at the comments. So how long have I got, McConan, please, brother Prince?
Just start to wrap it up.
Okay, I'm wrapping it up now. I'll put my details in the chat. I'm Nubian Nagis, Nubian Nagis Books 7@gmail.com. I'm also on Instagram, so you can get me there, but I'll put all my details in the chat, and I'll be tuning in, I'll be leaving it on. So everyone, keep doing what you do best. Continue writing because it is profound and it will be generational knowledge. So with the power of what you write with the pen is important. So many blessings, and we will see each other soon on another occasion next month on the International Book Show. Take care, everyone, and I'll speak to you and see you all soon. One love.
So that was Sister Legette from Nubian Nigist Books, who I've known from for many years in the community now. I wish I was there African Liberation Day. You know, seeing so many people that I know over there. But obviously I'm here for the International Book Show. Sister Legette's details. Sister Legette, that's her name, but her trading name of her business is Nubian Nagist Books. They are specialists on Black history, well, you know, books in general written by Black authors, particularly UK Black authors. Um, but that doesn't mean, you know, if you're author in USA, etc., you can still reach out to her. The number, well, the email address, I should say, I'll give her the email address. You can contact Sister Legette, as you can see there on the screen, nubiannagistbooks7@gmail.com. I'm just going to spell that. So that's nubiannagistbooks7@gmail.com. Nubian, Nubian, Nagist, Nigist, and then books7, as in the number 7, at gmail.com. Nubian Nagist Books, Sister Legette, she sells a wide variety of books from Black authors. These include themes such as African history, Pan-Africanism, spirituality, health, children's books, and contemporary books. So if you're interested in buying books, you can reach out to her. She does sell copies of my books, The Rise of Rastafari, Life in Gambia. As you saw, that man just purchased a copy of the book there. How to market and sell your book. And she'll be selling my latest book, Experiences of Living Across Africa, soon. And if you're also interested in, you know, getting your book stocked by Sister Legette, also feel free to reach out to her via her email address. I'm now going to go on to the next speaker on the International Book Show. The next speaker is Leonard Adams, and I had the pleasure recently of interviewing him for the International Book Show, the radio show and podcast. So this is the webinar, which happens once a month. There's also a radio show and a podcast that I have, and very, very soon you'll be able to listen to the show where I interviewed Leonard Adams in depth for the International Book Show, the radio show. But now we're gonna hear, you know, a taste of what his books are about, because he's gonna, tell us about the 2 books that he's written. So, Leonard Adams, welcome to the International Book Show webinar. Please start by telling us where you're based. Briefly introduce yourself, and then, you know, tell us about the 2 books that you've written, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I'm Leonard Adams, and I am based in the USA. I am in the state of Alabama. My books are Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me and Prepare to Love, 100 Questions and Answers. I'll speak about the books after I tell you a bit about my history and what motivated me to do the things that I do. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the 60s and experienced a great deal of abuse, very horrendous abuse at the hands of my parents growing up. As a result of the things I experienced, and I talk about them in depth on the podcast. So if you want to tune in, I will definitely be able to give you specific examples of things that I've gone through, but I will share just one for the sake of what we're experiencing here today. When I was 10 and my brother was 9, we came home from school one day, and my stepmother had told a lie on my brother. And as a result of that, my father put a knife on the stove, got it red hot, put my brother between his knees, and burned his lips and tongue with the knife. Afterwards, he fashioned a noose in the house. He put my brother's neck in the noose, kicked the chair out from under him, and he was strangling him with the noose. I screamed and I yelled, and my father told me that if I continued to do so, I would be next. And I screamed harder and I yelled louder because my thinking was if he was going to kill my brother, then I wanted him to kill me also. There were many, many, many things we experienced through the years growing up. To have my own personal experiences, which also, like I said, I share on the podcast. But as a result of that, I hated people. I did not trust people. I did not want to be around people. I was miserable inside. And as a result of that misery, I was depressed. I felt helpless. I felt hopeless. I felt like I was a mat that other people could dump upon. And I was full of bitterness and rage and anger. And one of the things that really rescued me was when I joined the United States Army, I happened to become a counselor. And I talk about that as well in the podcast, how that came about. But because I became a counselor, I began to learn modalities of therapy. As I was learning those modalities, I began to apply them to myself. And over time, working with the things that I was learning, as I was counseling others, I was able to overcome the pain, the misery, the hatred, the desire to want my past to be something different than what it was, the ability to once again find what I had before all of those things happened to me. This became a real passion for me in terms of how I wanted to share that with other people. In my first book, Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me, the reason I wrote this book is because my father, not only was he abusive and not communicative, but he died when I was 24. I'm 63 years old right now. So there were many, many, many things that I wanted to be able to ask him that I could not. And I have a feeling that there are other people who maybe have not gone through the things that I've gone through, but you wish that you had someone to go to for advice. I wrote this book as an advice manual. It's written kind of in kind of a devotional lifestyle or style, so that you don't have to start at the beginning. It's not sequential. It's a series of lessons about life, about love, about relationships that you can take to heart. And I'm going to come back to this book because I want to share one more thing about it before this is done. But I want to go to my second book, which is called Prepare to Love, 100 Questions and Answers. And by the way, both of these books are available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any website that has an online book presence, you will be able to find either one of these books. And at the moment, Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me is available in ebook form and in paper and hardback, as well as Prepare to Love, 100 Questions and Answers. On Amazon, both books are available in the ebook format, but they are also available in soft cover and hardcover. What I did with Prepare to Love is I took 100 real questions from actual people. And let me tell you about my experience before I go into more having to do with this book. As I said, I became a therapist in the U.S. Army, and I did marital counseling, I did individual counseling, I did family counseling, I did rape and crisis intervention, I did alcohol and drug counseling, I conducted anger management classes, and I did hospice counseling, working with the terminally ill. I also had an opportunity to work for the Department of Corrections, where I counseled in 3 separate prisons. The first prison was a mental health prison, and the last prison was death row. So I actually got to counsel death row inmates as well. I have taken that plethora of experience as well as the experience of my own age and what I've experienced in life, and I've employed it in this book. So there are all sorts of questions that I answer in this book, specifically 100. And I want to give you some examples of some things that I talk about in the book. The very first chapter is, how do I respond to a breakup email? The second is, how do I ask a woman out on a date? The third is, and this is wild, this is probably the wildest story in this book, but I remind you, it's absolutely true. My boyfriend won't forgive me unless I kneel and lick his feet. This is a true story. What I do in the book, you hear the headings. The headings are one thing. Below the headings, I have the actual story. So I lay out in detail the story that the person is giving about the incident. And they ask, what do I do? And below that, I answer the questions. There's, how can I help my girlfriend feel sexy? My boyfriend refuses to reassure me. I know that my friend is an addict. What do I do? Why is it so easy for my ex to talk to other guys after our breakup when I feel so stuck? It goes all the way to, how do I learn to love myself? And that's a favorite for me because that is the journey that I took personally. How do I begin to love myself when I felt so hated growing up, when my first impressions of life was of being hated and being rejected and being despised and being beaten and being cast away? How do I go from that to being able to love myself, being able to find peace and joy and happiness in life? There is that possibility. And I want people to know that. And the reason I share the things that I do is because I want people to know, and I know people say to themselves, if I had had a better life, if I had grown up in a better situation, I would have turned out to be a better person. And I'm here to tell you that no matter what your background is, no matter how you grew up, no matter what disadvantages you experienced in life, you can still become the person that you dreamed of. You can overcome those barriers. And I want to help you to overcome those barriers so that you can become the person that you want to be. Now, I said I was going to come back to this book, and the reason I want to come back to this book is because this book was first published by a traditional publisher. I published the second book myself, but I recently got the rights back to this book. So I'm doing a republishing of this book. I'm doing a second edition of this book. And in the second edition, I'm going to be expanding some of the things that I say. And I want to give you for instance. In this edition, there's a section that I titled, If Love Doesn't Conquer All, If Love Ever Fails, It Is Not Love, but Only Its Caricature. And there is I'm going to read one paragraph that is in the original book, and then I'm going to read that same paragraph the way I've re-edited it for the new release that is still to come out. But I will be publishing that. When that one comes out, this edition will go away. The second edition will be the only one that's there, and it will be on all the platforms, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any online presence. It will exist in ebook format, hardcover, softcover. It will be in every format. So let's read the first one, or one of the paragraphs here. The caricature of love masks itself in many ways. For instance, one mask is possessiveness. Possessiveness leaves the other person without a choice, and love must always be a choice. Closely related to possessiveness is jealousy. Jealousy is a lack of trust, and where there is a lack of trust, there is a lack of love. This is how I've written it for the new book. The caricature of love masks itself in many ways. For instance, one mask is possessiveness. They text and call you 100 times a day, claiming that they're just obsessed with you, but that's not love. It's a disrespect of your boundaries, a lack of trust in you that incidentally has nothing to do with you, and them showing you how little they actually care about your satisfaction in the relationship. They don't want you to enjoy yourself in public if they're not there, pitching a fit if you do. They attempt to sabotage your friendships with others in an effort to gain more of your attention for themselves. You may need to check in by a certain time, answer their call on the first ring, hang out with them every night instead of having any time to yourself or pouting if you ask for an evening alone. Possessiveness leaves the other person believing they don't have a choice, and love must always be a choice. Closely related to possessiveness is jealousy. They show an irrational jealousy about your past relationships, which have nothing to do with them and even happened before you knew them. They won't privately acknowledge your accomplishments, instead putting you down most of the time and blaming it on making sure you don't get a big head about your successes. Again, they text and call you all day to make sure you're not making yourself available to anyone else. And they say it's because they love you so much, when it's really because they trust you so little. Jealousy is insecurity, a toxic need for control, and a lack of trust. And where there is a lack of trust, there is a lack of love. So again, the first book, Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me, first edition is now available. Second edition will be available. The second book is Prepare to Love, 100 Questions and Answers, and it's available on all of the major platforms and all of the online bookstores that you happen to have an address for. So please feel free to avail yourself of those. I'm going to stay online, so if anybody has any questions of me that they want to drop in the chat, I'll be very happy to answer. And thank you so much, Makona, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. That's Leonard Adams, and yeah, as I mentioned earlier, really looking forward to broadcasting the interview that we did, and when that goes out onto the podcast. So I'm just going to share my screen now so um, everyone can see it. So we have author Leonard Adams, and his book titles are Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me, and also Prepared to Love, 100 Questions and Answers. Both of those books, they can be purchased on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can see the picture of his book there, of one of his books, which is Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me, which he began to speak about first, and then he went on to Prepare to Love, and then back on to Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me. But again, the author name is Leonard Adams. The books or titles are Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me, and then the second book is Prepared to Love, 100 Questions and Answers. And both of those books are available to be purchased on Amazon and also on Barnes & Noble. Now, I'm now going to go on to the next speaker. She is an author. As well as being an author, she's also editor, and she does book consultancy. She helps, authors to publish their books as well. She's not a publisher, but she helps them on that, journey. So Latoya Roberts, welcome to the International Book Show. And please start by introducing yourself. Tell us where you're based. Briefly mention something brief about yourself, and then go on to tell us all about the books you've written, and also your editing and book consultancy that you do.
Thank you so much, Makoni, and I'm glad to be here at the International Book Show. I am bringing love and peace from the Caribbean, specifically Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm really glad to be here to share with you a little bit about my work. I hope you can hear and see me clearly. So yes, I am from Trinidad and Tobago, and I see myself as an author, editor, and book consultant. And the name of my company is called Books by LR. I've been doing this for about 3 years, working with various authors in terms of their self-publishing process. And I just want to share a little bit about my services before I get into also the work that I've done. So it started a few years ago when a lot of Caribbean authors, especially in Trinidad and Tobago, would have asked me how to publish a book. They have questions. What is an ISBN number? They're not too sure of the writing process and the steps to take. And unfortunately for us in the Caribbean, sometimes getting published is a bit limited because we have less traditional authors that we can work with and traditional publishers that we can work with. So the idea of self-publishing has been very new and generating a lot of buzz and interest for us in this region. So Books by LR Services really provide support to authors in terms of they want to self-publish on Amazon platform, on other platforms. They have a book or piece of writing, the manuscript isn't completed yet, but they need guidance along the way in terms of planning their book and the steps to take forward. If they do have a manuscript and then they're ready to edit it, because finding an editor in our region is a bit difficult sometimes. We don't necessarily have the variety or the versatility of editors at times. So persons really need that helping hand to really review their work and really set it in a professional way that is really consumable by the international market. And also I do offer article writing services. And from doing this process over the last 3 years or so, many authors have so much questions. And as an author myself, it's very difficult. As much as I want to help clients, I want to reach out to people, I want to share information. To repeat information over and over gets a bit time consuming. It may also get a bit frustrating because I'm overloaded with the amount of books and clients that I have to really give them that one-on-one attention. So I also saw there was a need. There was definitely a need and a process to explain to Caribbean authors, how to write their books, how to publish their books, how to get into the market, understanding the things that goes with literary work and publishing. And this brought about this book that I would have published entitled Think It, Write It, Publish It, which helps authors understand from conceptualization of the idea all the way to publishing and also really marketing their work. And that becomes really crucial because a lot of clients and persons that I encountered, many times they think once they publish their book, that's it, they're author, hooray, they've crossed that hurdle. And they expect that people automatically go to a bookstore or people automatically see their work, see their name. And we kind of forget that publishing the book is just one part of the journey, but there's also elements of marketing, getting into book clubs, being in shows like yours, Mokone, which I think is an excellent platform for all the authors who are here. So congratulations to all the authors who are here to talk about their work, to share their message, to share their voice. And then I also found that there was a really significant gap in the writing process. A lot of the Caribbean-based authors have really good passion, really good idea, excellent voice, good messaging. But sometimes just to package it all to tell that Caribbean story has been a bit challenging for many authors in the region. So this allowed an opportunity for me to work with persons, so to guide and self-direct. And I often tell persons, you are the author. It's your word, it's your destiny. And I'm just here to support you along the way. And I've been doing that for the past 3 years and had wonderful results from it. Many women thank me for the work. I've worked with young children. I've worked with organizations that really helps persons really develop that creating writing space. And it's really good that messages are out there, books are being published, and that message is something for prosperity in a book, whether as a Kindle version or whether as a paperback version or hardcover version. And I think there is room for so much more stories to be told, so much more books to be written. And I'm in this part of the world, in Trinidad and the Caribbean, really adding to that volume of work that is out there, especially as a Black author and from a Caribbean heritage. I am really happy and proud about that. And today on the call, I do have one of my clients with me, Mr. LaCroix, who will come later in the program to share about his work. But this is just one arm of my business and the work that I do, which I think is very important. But also what's important to me is myself as an author. And I have produced this book, which is called A Collection of Poems. And this book is very dear to me because it's an anthology of my life. It's split across 5 thematic areas in the book. And I wrote this book with passion, but also with pain in terms of some of the difficulties and struggles that I have went through as a woman and things that I've seen in my society and things that I've seen that I want to express about how I feel or view the world. And the 5 thematic areas of the book are women in society, civil society movements, because I belong to a lot of NGOs and civil society movements. Then there's a bit of inspiration and motivation as another theme. And I do travel a bit for work, so it was also my perspective of seeing different parts of the world and comparing it to what exists in the Caribbean, which is very small, which is very insular. And when you travel, you get open to so much things that you could compare that you never had or you've never experienced. And then the last section of the book has to do with life in Tobago, because I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, which is a twin island state, but I was born and originally grew up in Tobago, the small out of the 2 islands with only about 60,000 people there. So the dynamics and the landscape and the understanding of being in that small space is very difficult and different from if you're in a wider community, in a wider space. And this collection of poems has really encapsulated about 70 poems that span across these thematic areas. And I really want to take the time today to read 2 of the poems from the book. The first one has to do with women in society. And this poem is a bit heavy, it's a bit dark, because it speaks about domestic violence and it speaks to the issues that I faced as a young woman and that trauma and that shock. And the title of the poem is called Silence. So I hope you appreciate it. Clap, slap, and cuff. Songs that urge you that enough is enough. Yet another day you stay because random kisses and smooches pass your way. Tug on your hair as a stubborn plug. Paint your face with various colors like a clown. Shout at you because your silence is a docile lamb. All in an effort to remain calm. The calmness doesn't last forever. After constant pain, I'm becoming unintentionally a monster. Now with pent-up anger, I turn my rage to my once lover, who is now my aggressor. I'm thinking, who am I going to be the real survivor? On the floor, his knee cutting off my breath like a gladiator. Ready for the kill. He is the predator and I am the victim. I can feel the pulse in the vein losing my rhythm. Silence. Another woman succumbs to domestic violence. My consciousness is gone. I have lost the battle. Silence. And this is me reflecting on an encounter, incident that I had with my partner. And many women sometimes, it takes a while before we could express the feeling, the hurt, the pain, the anger, relive the memory or the trauma that we face. But not all parts of the book is this dark, but some actually talks about motivation and hope and giving help and giving voice. So this poem was just me just really being honest and true to explain what happened in that incident and where I felt as if I was hopeless and I lost that battle. But in life, you grow and you survive. And thank God to all the survivors who are out there who have overcome and can live on and can really attest to the growth and the strength of being a woman and life. And then the next poem I want to read now is a bit lighter, so not too much darkness going on here. But this comes from the thematic area of life in Tobago, and it speaks to me as a Caribbean person and the stereotypical things that I appreciate or remember as a Caribbean. Yes, we are becoming a bit more modernized now, so all the scenes may not still be there, but it's still very reflective of some things that I've experienced and grown up with. And it's called Caribbean Morning. It's morning as you hear the cock crew. The waves break upon the shore. Hear the whistles of a kiskadee from a distance, etching the radio tuning for the dead news. Beautiful sounds of a Caribbean morning. Glancing through the beaded kitchen curtain, see the sleek silhouette of a woman, busy laying out the breakfast table. Smell the hot cocoa tea as it sizzles on the stove. Outside, men cutting the fresh green grass while prattling on the roadside. See the sweat of a hard day's morning labor. Uncle Jim straddles with his crocus bag, toting feeds for the pigs below. Thud, thud, on the pitch road, the donkey ambles going home, with its owner riding proudly on the saddle, stuffed with produce from the garden's harvest, stopping to share one parcel here and there. See the children sweep the dirt yard, some hanging linens on the outside clothesline. Hear the neighbors shout from afar, send the picnic to the shop to get a pound of sugar and salt. Scenes of the Caribbean life So simple and frail, a calm morning with routine that defines our main purpose for each and every day. So a lot of the imagery in this poem really speaks to things that you see growing up. We have sunny weather, so we still hang a lot of the clothes outside. A lot of people still go down to their garden and then they bring the produce and they share it with the villagers. A good Caribbean breakfast still has hot cocoa tea. And these are just some of the things that really brings joy and great memory to my life growing up as a child. And I thought it was really useful to document these things. So to know that these things are part of my heritage, my history, my life experience, and to share that with others. So a collection of poems can be found on these platforms. It's definitely available on Amazon in Kindle version, paperback. Likewise, my company, booksbylr.com. You can also get the book via the website. And then also we do have a Caribbean-based platform, very similar to Amazon, that we do distribute articles, product stuff, etc. throughout the Caribbean. It's called plantandseedscaribbean.com. So you can definitely find the copy of the book there. I would just like to share with you that throughout my, I will say short but growing span in terms of the industry, working with a lot of Caribbean-based authors. I know there's another author on the call from Jamaica, so I'm really glad to see that there is so much room and opportunity in the Caribbean. And it's really good, Makoni, that you have this show that there could be a bit of a connection with the African diaspora, with the Black persons who identify as Black, whether as allies or through Afro descendants. And it's really an opportunity to share messages, to share information, to share voice, and really grow, because we do have similar stories, and we could grow and support one another in all the work that we do. So in terms of me at Books by LR, this is just and really important to note about my book is that I am a visual learner too, so I really complemented the book with thematic pieces, artistic pieces. I worked with a local author and graphic person and artist who felt the emotions and the passions that was going through while I was going through these poems. And in each of the chapters of the book has artistic piece, so that when you read the poem and then you look at the image that speaks it, it really evokes some kind of feeling and emotion with you. If you would like to know more about my work and what I do, you can find me at booksbylr.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and also LinkedIn. You can check out my website, booksbylr.com, and definitely contact with me, booksbylatoyaroberts@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing more stories, just sharing, learning, and really creating a voice and a space for our voice, for our people. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Makoni.
Thank you very much. That's Latoya Roberts. I also interviewed her recently as well for the International Book Show, for my radio show, my podcast. So that'll be coming out very soon. The best place to stay up to date about information regarding the whether it's the webinar, which is this platform, which happens monthly, or my radio shows, which are bi-weekly, every other Monday and every other Wednesday, and then obviously my podcast is the International Book Show, the Facebook group. That's the best place to go. So if you go to Facebook and put in the International Book Show, you'll be able to find me there, and yeah, join the Facebook group, and then you'll be able to stay up to date, on the latest information regarding to our events, and also occasionally we have posts about the authors that come on the show there as well. So Latoya Roberts, her book titles: Think It, Write It, Publish It, an intensive writing guide, and you can see the picture of it here. She also has another book called Collection of Poems, and she offers services to help authors along their publishing journey with editing and also consultancy. If you're interested in her books or on her, the services she offers, you can access her through her website. The website is www.booksbylr.com. That is www.booksbylr.com. Once again, that is author Latoya Roberts. Her book titles are Think It, Write It, Publish It, and Collections of Poems. She also offers help and guidance for people on the book publishing journey with her editing and book consultancy. And you can, find out more information about what she does and, those books on her website, which is www.booksbylr.com. internationalbooksbyella.com. And something that she said, which was very important, yes, this platform is the International Book Show. We've got author, she's in the Caribbean, she's in Trinidad and Tobago. She's being joined, going to be joined, or one of her clients is going to be joining us later, who's in Trinidad and Tobago. We've got another author that's going to be joining us from Jamaica. I know a lot of times we have a lot of authors from USA and in England. But this is an international book show. Sometimes we have authors in Africa, but this is open to authors in Africa, the Caribbean, as much as it is for England and USA. So we're really happy to see, particularly this show, that we having three. We've heard one, but we're also going to have two other authors on that are representing the Caribbean, that are in the Caribbean. I'm now gonna pass it over to the next author. The next author on the show is Javona Allen, and Javona, she is the author of the book called The Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker. So, Javona, if you would just like to start by telling us where you're based, briefly introducing yourself, and then tell us all about the book you've written, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much, McConan, for this opportunity to speak. Once again, I am Javona Allen. I was born and raised in the United States, but I currently make Playa del Carmen, Mexico, my home. I've been here for 2 years. My Spanish is getting better each and every day. So thank you. My book, The Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker, I self-published in 2021. It was not a planned thing. I've spoken to so many people who are like, I've always wanted to write a book. I want to write a book. And I never wanted to write a book. It was never anything that was in my deck of cards. But my business coach said to me one day, Javona, you should write a book. And I'm like, me? Write a book? I don't write books. I buy books. I read books. I don't write books. But I sat it back and I thought about what he said. And anytime someone says, Javona, you should, obviously they see something in me that I don't yet see. So he saw author in me. So I took his advice and I sat back and I thought, says, okay, so what am I going to write about? It was at the height of the pandemic. I'm home, loving life. I was in sales and marketing for a company. And I'm like, business, personal development, those are my genres. Hey, and the title just came to me. The Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker. I am also the founder of an internationally recognized business networking organization called Twisted Networking. So it kind of just went hand in hand. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to just share with you an overview of my book. I'm not going to tell you everything inside. I'm going to give you some tidbits because hopefully you go and buy it and it can help you on your journey, or you can share it with someone else in your network. So if you want to buy it or if you want to learn more about me, you can visit my website, javona.com, and I'm going to put some more of my information in the chat box closer to the end. So, introvert. It's been thrown around a lot lately since the pandemic. Most people are like, hey, either you're an introvert, you're an extrovert, you're an ambivert, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. I am proud to say that Javona is 100% introvert. I spend 90% of my time alone, and I like it just like that. So let me ask you a question. When you think of the word introvert, what comes to mind? I remember hearing a lot of negative things about an introvert. Oh, they're selfish. Oh, they're self-absorbed. Oh, they don't like people. But tell me what you think about. Maybe you can drop it in the chat. Let me know what you think about when you hear the word introvert. Or introverts don't like this, or introverts don't do that. How about the word networking? I talk to so many people and they always say they do not like networking. And why is that? It's usually because they've had bad experiences or they've heard some bad stories about it. So to you, what is networking? How does it make you feel when you have to go to a networking event or you have to talk about yourself to other people? Let me know. Maybe you can drop it in the chat. Let me know what you think about those two words, networking and introvert. Well, in my book, The Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker, I had 3 objectives. First was to describe introverts as friendly, genuine, and thoughtful people. I am an introvert, and that's how I describe myself, but the world around me always told me something was wrong with me. She's too quiet, she's unassertive, she doesn't like people, she's stuck up. However, that is not the truth. I am just an introvert. I rejuvenate, I revitalize, I reinvigorate myself by myself. Extroverts, they replenish their energy by being around a lot of people. But for me as an introvert, and maybe you as an introvert, you might feel just the opposite. And so in my book, I want introverts who read my book to feel good about who they are. Own your power as an introvert, because we are amazing, amazing people. And for the extroverts who read, I want them to change their thinking of the introverts in their life. And so for my introverts, when you read my book, you're going to be confident, you're going to be excited, you're going to be content with who you are as an introvert. If you don't want to raise your hand and be the first one, that's great. If you don't want to be in the front of the room, that's great too. If you want to work by yourself, if you want to spend the weekend by yourself, that is great too. Those are some of our superpowers. A lot of people have problems being alone, which the majority of the world don't realize that being alone is a skill set in itself. And so in my book, I just want introverts to be proud to own their introvert abilities, their capacities, and to share it with the world in a way that's comfortable and genuine for you. And also, I want networking to be enjoyable, fun, and easy. People who don't like networking usually do not succeed well in business because money comes from people. And so one of my goals is for people to have better relationships, first with themselves and then with other people, so that they can get the money that they need, so that they can sell their books to people through their network. And once again, Javona.com is where you can find my book. So the overview of my book, it's 32 pages. It's a nice sized book. You can put it in your purse. It's an easy read. You can take it on a plane. Start with my title page. I talk about some notable introverts all over the world. Michael Jordan, Barack Obama, they were all, he's an introvert. Rosa Parks was a notable introvert. And Mark Zuckerberg, the one who created Facebook, is the notable introvert. So I start by talking about them. There's 10 chapters in my book. I leave a suggested reading list, some other books that I have found helpful, such as Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's one of my favorite books by author Dr. Susan Jeffers that I include for my readers. And if you look to the right of the screen, my all-time quote is, networking is the #1 key to success in this game called life. #1 key. So my goal is to make sure that we're better at networking so that we can have the success that we deserve. So back to the chapter overview, the 10 chapters, I go into 10 things that I found helpful for me to go from working in a home daycare to gracing stages in the United States. First thing first was personal development. I had to develop my mind. I had to change my thought pattern using affirmations. I had to know what I was going to say about who I am and what I do. That's your powerful marketing script. Social media, everybody is on social media. And if you're not on social media, you're missing your whole audience. But social media in itself is a strategy. It's not something you just get on and you just watch, especially if you're an author, if you're in sales and marketing, you have to have a whole strategy when it comes to social media so that you can build your network. Networking events. I host networking events free. So come on, visit twistednetworking.com and you can join one of my free interactive virtual networking events. One-on-ones, after you meet with someone, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to meet with them one-on-one. I know tons of people who attend networking events and never meet with people. The event in itself is just an introduction. So following up, names, compliments, and the power of your smile. Those are the 10 chapters that I discuss in my book. So the format of the book, we have our discussion. I share some stories about my experiences as an introvert, my experiences in the United States, my experiences in sales and marketing, my experiences with bullying, my experiences with $100,000 student loan debt. I talk about all those things in the discussion section. And then we go to the how-to. And the how-to is how to apply personal development to become a master networker, how to use social media to become a master networker. So I give you some tips in each chapter on how to use that particular skill set to become a master networker so that you can have the success you deserve. And then the implementation phase. Implementation is for you. This is your take action. So each chapter has a take action part where you have to go and do something. I challenge you not to just read this book, not to just put it on the shelf, not to just take the how-to, but you need to implement it if you're going to get from where you are today to where you deserve to be. Interviews and articles, if you Google my name, Javona, typically if you just put in Javona, you will see tons and tons of interviews and articles, international, about me and about my book. I've been featured in MTV Lebanon, HRM Asia, Cosmopolitan, Swagger Magazine. I think this is called West France, Black Enterprise, all over the world, different languages, Indonesian, Thai. So you can learn more about what other people are saying about my book and the thoughts and the impacts of the Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker. So some of the reviews, once again, you can find my book on Javona.com, which is my website. My book is living on Amazon right now because I live in Mexico. The mailing system is a little different here. And I've been on a 2-year sabbatical. So you can go to Amazon, grab the book, and get it delivered to your house. Or if you're fortunate to see me at an in-person event somewhere in the world, I can bring you a signed copy. But I love to read the reviews from some of my readers, and I'm going to read just 2 of them. Yvette Ford, she said, this book is filled with so many tips with actionable steps. It's a quick read that kept me engaged. I really appreciate the life lessons shared by the author. The examples made the information relatable. I felt encouraged and empowered to exit my comfort zone. And so that's one of the goals for introverts. We need to learn how to exit our comfort zone, but in a comfortable, manageable way. Rich Austin is an extrovert. So he bought my book, he read it, he said, a great read. If you are an introvert, this is the book you need. If you're an extrovert looking for insights about introverts, ding, 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 if you're an extrovert and you have introverts in your world, this is the book where you can gain valuable insight into how introverts think. He said, Javona doesn't stray from her goal of encouraging introverts and showing them how to turn their natural attributes into game-changing success. Love it, love it, love it. Last one, Amy Erickson, wonderful book for anyone who needs to push beyond their comfort zone and build up their network authentically. And that is another one of my goals. I love authentic connections. Not every connection is going to turn to business right away, but we can support each other in many, many different ways. It doesn't just have to be money or business related. And so your network is more than just sales. It's life-changing. The people all around you are a part of your network. And I absolutely love when people send me pictures of them reading my book by the pool. It's fabulous. All righty. And so I'm going to start to wrap up here. To the left, I have some pictures of me with some of my happy readers, which has been exciting to see people all over the world purchase my book, a book that I never knew that I had in me. This is my first book. I've been encouraged to write another one, but I'm not there yet in my process. So this is my first book. And at the moment, it is my only book. And maybe one day I'll get inspired to write another one. But if you'd like to reach out to me, you can take a screenshot of this this slide. I am located in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. You can visit my website, Javona.com, or you can send me an email, Javona@twistednetworking.com. That's my Mexican phone number. If you WhatsApp me, it might take me a few days to get to it, but it's available to you as well, if that is the best way for you to communicate. And also feel free to connect with me, like, follow, share. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, and I just started my YouTube channel, which is so much fun because I'm sharing clips of my life and my transition from the United States to Mexico. So, Makonnen, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity to speak on the International Book Show, to be in front of your audience. It's been a pleasure, and to all the authors that came before me and after me, thank you so much for the work that you do, for being so inspiring, and I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you.
Thank you very much. That's Javona. It was another great presentation. I think I've enjoyed listening to, as I always do, all the author speakers on the International Book Show. I'm just going to share my screen now. Just bear with me. So, Javona, can you see this screen? It should have your book and some information of you. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so just to reiterate, the last author that spoke, Javona Allen, the title of her book is called The Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker. And it's available on Amazon, but it's also available on her website. Her website is www.javona.com. Again, that's the author, Javona Allen. The title of her book is called The Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker. And it's on Amazon as well as her website, which is www.javona.com. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video, and this is a video left by Dr. Tamra Foley. Dr. Tamra Foley, she's one of the sponsors of the International Book Show. As well as being one of the sponsors of the International Book Show, she also has a publishing company. She's an author, and she's written a latest journal called Healing Hearts. But she's going to explain that in the video. I'm just going to press play. If someone could just clarify whether you can hear this. Okay,
No
No.
comment.
okay, just bear with me a moment.
Now
Oh,
and Garwell Publishing. I'm so sorry that I'm not able to be there with you today due to family commitments.
can someone say whether they could hear the audio then?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear it.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Tamra Foley, and I am the owner of Education for All Now and Garwell Publishing. I'm so sorry that I'm not able to be there with you today due to family commitments, but I just want you to share a little bit about Garwell Publishing. We're an independent publishing agency, and we tailor publishing packages. It is not a one size fit all. We know that each author's journey is different, and we know that each author's journey is special. And so we want you to know, so whether you're a first-time author or experienced writer just looking for some help in your publishing journey, that we're here for the perfect solution. Also, we offer comprehensive services that support every aspect of publishing. We offer editing, cover design, formatting, helping you with your ISBN and distribution. We can help you with that. And we make the process seamless and straightforward so that you can focus on what you want to do best, and that is your writing. We also work with people who are marketing masters. We don't do it, but we have someone that we collaborate with that can take you and make sure that your book or books hit the market with vibrant and hit the market just running. Okay, we want to make sure of that. Also, we have an event success kit, and that helps you to plan your book launch, helping you with any author events. This author's media package also helps you just to make a lasting impression with you as an author. So just wanted you to understand some of the things that we do. We're an unmatched personalized support services. We give you guidance. We custom tailor your package for you. And we offer comprehensive services and exceptional value. I also wanted to just share with you a couple of books that we've helped authors with. So here is the Young Achievers Guide, and this is a teacher, and she wanted a guide to go along to help middle schoolers. And so it's a motivational guide, but also an inspirational journal. We helped this author. She wanted to do a journal for families. And so we helped her. And also we have just different things in there that she wanted: a scripture of the day, a grateful prayer request, hopes and dreams. Also, she wanted something additional. So she hired young children to actually write the prayers here. So there are prayers for children and there are prayers for parents. So you can do this together. We also have our youngest author, and he wrote about his experience as a child who lost his father very early in life at age 5. And so that was really traumatic for him. And that's why it's called Tragic. And you see him and you see his father here. So this child guided us through what he wanted through his book. So it is not only just a book, but it's also a journal. So other children can write down their journey and write down how they're feeling. Just wonderful. We also help with someone to calm my mind. And this is an affirmation coloring book for adults. There's a 1 and a 2. One of our authors just wanted to do a poem, just a journal for poems. And so it's called A Poem a Day. And so here's some benefits of writing poetry to support your writing journey. One of our authors also wanted to do something for well-being, social, emotional support. So there's a weekly check-in. There are different sections. There's a section for well-being, a section for belonging, and a section for reflection. So just wanted to share some of the authors that have entrusted us with their books. Also, I wanted to introduce to you one of my creations that we launched on yesterday, and this is called Healing Hearts. And Healing Hearts is a journal for children in grades 3 through 8, and it's a poetry, reflection, and art journal. So you might say, wow, why would you do that for students so young? Well, just know that students have a lot of confusion. Sometimes they have a lot of emotions built up, and they really just need a way to express them, but express it in a fun way. So Healing Hearts is just that. So it's an incredible journey. There is a poem, and then there are questions, and then also a place for them to engage in art. And also they can engage in art on some of the poetry pages also. So journals and journaling is very important for children. One of the things that it helps them to do is express their emotions. It helps them, gives them just that safe outlet to express their emotions freely. They don't have to worry about somebody looking. They are actually writing, whether they're writing or they're reading the poetry or they're reflecting on the poetry or they're doing the art. It is a healthy way for them to express their emotions. Also, they develop coping strategies. So it allows them to manage their emotions, and it empowers them with valuable tools for resilience. It also promotes growth and healing. Remember, healing is a process, and healing takes time. So through this, they can track their progress, they can identify their patterns, and they can set goals as they're going through their healing journey. It also provides a sense of control. So journaling confronts a process given the circumstances. It gives children just some control over their stories and understanding and experiences. And it also empowers them an agency in their healing process. It gives them the control. It gives them the control that they need to help them through that process. Also, it helps to build self-awareness. So it encourages them, one, to reflect on their thoughts, to reflect on their behaviors and their experiences. And this leads to increased self-awareness and insight of their own emotional well-being. And journaling also helps to build their emotional intelligence. It also strengthens their communication skills. Remember, they are taking the time to write. So they're improving their communication as they're learning to articulate their thoughts and emotions. And this can impact positive relationships in their lives and positive relationships with others. And it also encourages creativity, engaging in creative activities such as writing and doodling and drawing, coloring. It stimulates that imagination and creativity. And it also offers just an alternative way for them to express themselves beyond words. I want you to know that this journal is available in our store at educationforallnow.org/shop. You can also go on my Linktree. It's Linktree/Tamra Foley, and you can purchase these. Also, with this comes, we developed what's called a Healing Hearts kits. And these kits are just a little insight of what they might look like. And so these Healing Heart kits is just a way for children. It's things that they can have. So we know that sometimes sour candy helps, the researcher says it helps children to calm themselves. And so it helps them to think through their emotions. There's also a stress ball that they can actually, if they're feeling stressed, instead of hitting a door or hitting someone, they can actually use their coordination and actually just express those emotions through that. And there's also what's called a calming piece, and that they can just rub that, and that's shown to help them calm. And a couple other things that I won't share with you is what we call bonus gifts. So if you're interested, please, 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 if you have questions, feel free to contact me. You can contact me at Education for All Now, and that's the 4.org. You can contact me at Garwell Publishing, publish at garwellpublishing.com. Our website is educationforallnow.org and garwellpublishing.com. Please, 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 if you have any questions or we can help you on your journey, we would be more than happy to do that. And again, congratulations to all of you, and congratulations on your journey, and have a great one.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Slaka. I'm from Kumana Village, Togo, Trinidad, West Indies. My two novels is based on Professor 1 and Professor 2, right? In which it's a mixing with genuine in the writing. So we'll have humor, philosophy, spirituality, and a little politics. Right? And more of the village life and too many people growing up as a child, and basically that is it. So I'd like to read out a little piece from book 1. A little excerpt. So give the people who are going to buy the book, what the book is, what the book like. This is from book 1, The Professor. I stood up, dusted my clothes, and walked towards the open doorway, stretching and yawning as I stood in the entrance of the hut. I looked outside towards the marijuana tree in search of the dog and the cat, but they were both gone. While I stood there in complete silence, I suddenly heard an abrupt voice behind me saying, "I have some books on history and philosophy. Would you like to have a look at them?" "What kind of history, Pro?" I asked, turning around to face him. "African history, son." "Oh, but what does your book say about African, Pro?" My books teach about the greatness of Black men, their origin and their deeds, the gods they worship and the distance they travel. They also teach about the memorable wars fought and the important discoveries they made, and how in turn they were conquered by the white men, such as myself, who robbed them of their women and their culture, and turned the very knowledge of the Black men, which they had learned over the centuries, into weapons to enslave their minds and their bodies by installing fear into them and employing the Bible to deceive them and keep them in subjection. He paused a while as I struggled to take in all that he was saying with a great interest. His one face looked very serious while he continued. Yes, Albert, that very book known as the Bible, which you innocent people today accept without question as a veritable and singular word of God. I was just a teenager, but from what I was taught about the Bible as a child growing up, I could not help but voice an objection. What? The pro is a madman? Everybody know the Bible is true from the beginning to end. I exclaimed. He looked at me in a peculiar way, and judging by his facial expression, I knew that he was sympathetic towards my ignorance. He then smiled and said, "From Alpha to Omega," he said, and then continued. Yes, Albert, there is truth in everything written, but we must be sufficiently detached to distinguish between objective and subjective truth. Come again, bro, I remarked, since I found this topic of conversation to be very interesting. You are confused to what it boils down to, my son, is that sometimes to the scientific and spiritual, well-grounded mind, there is truth to be found even in deliberate lies. Being baffled, I shook myself free, and within a short space of time, I stared boldly. Well, Professor, your history books sound real interesting. I would really like to read them. Ah, returned the professor, coming as close to a genuine laugh as he had done earlier. And so you shall, my son, so you shall. This is the end, book 1. And with me I have book 2, which I'll take out the excerpt. This is mixed with politics, so I will read the part in politics. It's about Albert's father entering politics due to the oppression that he was feeling, with the different political party. So he decided one day to plaster a fence with posters of Fidel Castro and all these people. When you know these people who went up, they pass around and come to a place, so he was trying to keep them off. So of this little party here, we end up joining up a political party. And I read here from the excerpt from the founder of the political party. It was now the high point of the rally, the part that everyone was looking towards. Amid the cheers and roaring of the crowd, and with a beautiful display of fireworks shooting up to the skies, a confident Shalpat made his way to the podium to the sound of Top Ranking by Bob Marley. I looked towards my right and recognized Bharat sitting there on a single couch in the semi-darkness, which was filled with the reflection of the TV screen. Looking attentively at a big public meeting that was taking place, and a commotion, excitement, and overwhelming support for the newly upcoming political leader Shalpat. I imagined Bharat would have wanted his two favorite songs, Like a Rock and Against the Wind by Bob Seger, to be played at this grand occasion, but I guess it wasn't the time for such a thing to happen. Shalpat was tall and slim and was dressed in a white long-sleeve cotton t-shirt with a long black chest pants and a pair of polished black shoes, which glimmered in the lights. He saluted the excited crowd with a friendly and polite gesture as they shouted in unison, Shalpat, Shalpat. The commentators then added fuel to the flame and heightened the excitement that was already pervading the air by stating, this seems to be the end of an old regime and the beginning of a new political career for Mr. Shalpat Ramlogan. Excited crowd continued to chant Shalpat's name while raising their fists up in the air, saying, power to you from us. We want Shalpat. We want Shalpat. Shalpat, in a dignified manner, made his way to the stage as the crowd continued to chant his name with great excitement and anticipation. Good night to all my sisters and brothers from the ghetto and all those who have been oppressed like myself, Shalpat said, as he stood on the podium, now addressing the massive crowd who had gathered in his support. Tonight, my dearly beloved sisters and brothers from every creed and race, I'd first like to introduce myself to you and let you in on my humble beginnings. My name is Shalpat Ramlogan. I come from a poverty-stricken home. As a child, I grew up in the eastern part of Karani, in what we may commonly call the ghetto or slum. I remember going to school barefooted and with a copybook and pencil tucked into my side pocket. I was not privileged to have body lotion. I greased my feet with pure virgin coconut oil made from the hands of my grandmother from up in the country where she resided in Miaro. There were times I survived only on food such as cashew, guava, citrus, mangoes, bananas, etc. We did not have electricity. We made use of candles, but mostly a kerosene lamp, which I used as light for my studies. We also did not have pipe-borne water. We got water from a nearby spring. Most of my food would be prepared on a mud-type fireside with the dry pieces of wood and cow dung, built from the hands of my parents. It was those days I will recall growing up as a juvenile. And this is it. So the book one recently made it to the final in the Book Excellence Award. I guess something was really interesting in this book that made it make the final. So I guess that is it for today. Okay. You can also be you can get the book on Amazon and also at LR. Planting Seeds.
Okay, thank you very much, Camilla. So you done?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you were saying, as you can see on the screen, his book's available on Amazon, Planting Seeds Caribbean, www.plantingseedscaribbean.com, and Books by LR, www.booksbylr.com. So I'm now going to go on to the next author. The next author is Alicia Janine. So Alicia, if you'd like to, well, welcome you onto the International Book Show. Please start by introducing yourself briefly tell us who you are and then go on, tell us all about the book you've written, please.
Thank you, McConan. I am so pleased to be here. Thank you for this platform, for providing international authors to have a virtual book tour, because probably wouldn't be able to do it without you. So thank you. And blessings to our international readers. I am Alicia Janine. I live in Colorado in the US, and I found out recently that I am 46% Nigerian. And so I hope to visit there soon. And so just thinking, oh, I'm a part of an international community. I'm also a recording artist. I'm a former pastor's wife of 30 years, and I'm an advocate for brave people who, like me, have a complicated past. In our time together, I'll introduce my book, Don't Disappoint Daddy, a story of abuse, abortion, and acceptance in the beloved. And it's made it to bestseller on Amazon in 2 categories. And also today, I'll share what readers are saying about it. And I'll also let you know how you can get a free sample before you even buy the book. But right now I want to focus on you. Let it be known that you are a much loved child of God. Before your mother and father ever thought to bring you forth, God saw you. Yes, he knew your name. And you are no accident. You're not a lucky chance. He has good plans for you. My new book, my first book, Don't Disappoint Daddy, takes readers on a real life journey of how the inner vows that I made not to disappoint my natural father, nor disappoint our Heavenly Father. It tells about how these decisions took over my life. I tell how I came to finally embrace the truth that I'm a much loved child of God. But I didn't learn this truth until late in life, even though I was an evangelist and a worship director. Long before I became an author or ministry leader, I made 2 silent and extreme decisions. The first decision was born out of the childhood abuse I suffered from my dad. And the second decision came as a result of negative religious messages I received about our Heavenly Father. I'm going to share my screen to show you a brief video that highlights the negative messages that I received. Daddy said I was good for nothing. Religion said I was a dirty, rotten sinner. They were both wrong. Don't Disappoint Daddy is a true story of abuse, abortion, and a life of trying to be good enough to be accepted and beloved. Don't Disappoint Daddy is a bestseller. You can get it on Amazon, but for you that are here today on this live broadcast and even on the replay, you can get a sample for free before you buy. Without knowing all the rules or when Daddy would change the rules, my daily endeavor growing up was to be a good daughter. But somehow the beatings and the name calling still found me. And in time, I came to realize that Daddy's behavior came from his own childhood wounds. He always told me to get out of his sight. So I was surprised when one summer evening in the 1970s, he invited me and my brother to watch a documentary about the growing teen pregnancy epidemic. I couldn't believe how reckless and disrespectful these girls were. It was like the first time I ever agreed with Daddy about something. And I turned around and I saw his signature mean face and his nostrils flaring. But this time it wasn't directed at me, it was directed at these girls. And I silently vowed never to disappoint him by getting pregnant. Although as a preteen, I had no idea what getting pregnant meant. That same summer in the 1970s, in a religious setting, some people told me that my sin made me disgusting in God's sight. It's what they had been taught. But I was so sorry that I had made God mad enough for him to want to throw me in hell. And because I didn't know the difference between God's voice and the negative messages of religion, I made a second extreme decision. I vowed to spend my life meeting people's needs as a way to thank God for forgiving me for all my sins. Don't Disappoint Daddy is a true story about getting entangled in destructive behaviors. My first decision not to get pregnant still led to pregnancy because there was no way I could combat the advances of predators having a lack of love from my dad. I had no tools in which to use. So that first decision not to disappoint him led an abortion. The second decision not to disappoint God led me into a life of perpetual service, so much so that I nearly lost myself. The book is not a long book. It's not a long book, but it's a powerful book. And I'd like to share with you what some people are saying about Don't Disappoint Daddy. Dr. Joel Jones says, Don't Disappoint Daddy gives us permission to exit from the pain of our multiple injuries. Antonio says, I believe many folks share your story, but are afraid to admit it. Good for you for having the courage to write about it. Janet says, it's so heartbreakingly good. Gotta go to sleep, but I don't want to. And in her 5-star review, she says, I lapped up every word, and particular passages resonated deeply for me. I love this journey as she took us from where she had been to where she is now, in full assurance of being beloved. Brenda was blown away with the forgiveness mentioned in the book. The hurts and forgiveness showed me God's love. I couldn't put the book down. The author brought in smiles and laughter to a topic that could just make you cry. Monique says, riveting, relatable. Every little big girl should read and discover who she is and who she can be despite her odds. Jamie says, real, raw, and needed. I can't put the book down. It has my full attention. And a few more. Despina says, you gripped me and made me want to love on little Alicia and defend her. And little me would have been your friend. Sally said, what truly elevates the story is its truthfulness. It's a story that feels necessary, shedding light on a difficult topic in a way that feels both brave and relatable. Michelle says, I find her writing clean and refreshing. It's the best book I've read in a long time. I highly recommend it. And a few more. Jocelyn says, the method in which she writes and the colorful imagery keeps the reader effortlessly turning the pages of her story. Her story of rejection and acceptance is a true gem. I sat down to read this book and didn't put it down until I was finished reading the last page. As I cried many times during the book, the last chapter got me the most. This is actually a review from Jennifer Bronson. John says, as a father of 3, one being my young daughter, I'm reminded that my disposition toward either love or critical spirit will contribute to the developing identities of my children and others in my care. And the last review for right now is from Larissa. She says, an honest retelling tale of all too typical traumas and experiences, told from a heart of mercy with a mixture of humor to rescue us from a victim's despair. I was totally engaged, a page turner with the most wonderful and unexpected ending. A common question I get is, why, Alicia, why did you write this book? I wrote this book because making my story public might draw out courage in others. Maybe they'll tell a trustworthy friend what happened to them. Maybe they'll seek counseling, or find some way, some creative way to express what they went through. As a person who was in the public, people tell a story about you. They don't really know your story, and it's a natural thing to do, to tell a story about people when we don't know their story. So they make up one. Telling our story disarms accusing voices, shame and blame. It crushes the shame and blame. It diffuses those accusing thoughts. So they can no longer live in your head. What's brought out into the light, it can no longer thrive in the darkness and in the silence. Another reason why I wrote this book is because I believe, I was an evangelist, and I had the wrong message. And now I believe that when people are introduced to our Heavenly Father as anything but good, kind, and loving, that we're not accurately representing His heart. By that I mean, when we portray Him as angry, distant, and hard to please, we're not actually representing His heart. And not only that, we could compound the suffering that many of us have already experienced. So I only talk about our good, kind, and loving Heavenly Father when I talk about people, because that accurately represents His heart. And lastly, I believe that when the hearts of the parents turn to their children, and the children's hearts are turned to their parents, that we'll need mental health counseling a lot less. For right now, we need a lot. We need a lot. There's so many traumas that are born from our childhood, so many messages that we're still carrying on as adults. And so if we can turn the hearts of the parents back to their children and help the children's hearts turn back to their parents, a lot of healing will take place, because after all, there are no perfect parents on this planet, and there are no perfect children on this planet. But let it be known, even though that's a fact, that you and I are much loved children of God. I'm going to share one more screen, and let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find this screen. It's going to show you where you can get the my book, Don't Disappoint Daddy, a story of abuse, abortion, and acceptance in the beloved. And here we go. It's this one right here. You can get a free sample at aliciajanine.com before you buy. It's a try before you buy. It is a bestseller on Amazon. If you want to just go and get it on Amazon, know that it has at the end, there's special content, a bonus content for anyone who'd like to read. And I really thank you for your time today. I bless you. I bless all the authors. And McKinnon, I bless you. Carry on.
Okay, thank you
You
very
just,
much, Alicia Janine.
you're
Sorry.
welcome. You're fine.
I was just getting my screen ready, so just give me a moment. So there's author Alicia Janine. You just heard her speak. Her book called Don't Disappoint Daddy, and it's available on Amazon. You can also get on our website, www.aliciajanine.com. Once again, that's author Alicia Janine. You can see the picture of her book over here. The book title is Don't Disappoint Daddy, and it's available on Amazon and also on the website www.aliciajanine.com. So
And
I'm now gonna.
I'll drop that in the chat too. I'll drop it in the chat.
Oh yes, yes, please do. I'm now gonna go on to the next author. The next author is Matthew Robinson, also known as Matt eBooks. So, Matthew Robinson, welcome to the International Book Show. Please start by very briefly introducing yourself. Tell us where you're based, and then, tell us about the books you've written. I know you can't talk about all the books you've written because you've written so many, Matthew. I've lost count, but yeah, I'll let you cover the books you want to talk about.
Hello there. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
One
Yeah.
second.
1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hello.
Yeah, we can see you and hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, you can see me? Okay, cool. Let me do a mic check real quick. That was Brenda, Letitia, Linda, Felicia, Don, LaShawn, Inez, and Alicia, Teresa, Monica, Sharon, Nikki, Lisa, Veronica, Karen, Nikki. All right, that's like the introduction of where I come from and what I'm doing. My name is Matthew Robinson. That's the author. I go by the moniker of Matt Dizzo, aka Matt eBooks. Let me make sure you can see me really. I think I can see myself. I'm a ghostwriter, the author's author, the public's motivational speaker, a storyteller. So let me entertain you. I'm a mogul in the making, right? You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all the same moniker, Matt eBooks. I wrote this series. It's like a 50 book series. It's called Then There Was, inspired by DMX, RIP. It pretty much started off like me and my brother, I was going through a thing, through a life experience of relationships. And this is pretty much what this series is about. So I don't have a lot of time. There's so much to talk about in such a little time to talk about all these things. But I was going through a problem in my relationships. And, we joke around as brothers and siblings and things of that nature. And shout out to my little brother, my little big brother, Chris. It's like we playing Monopoly in real life. And we buy houses and stuff for real cash right now. That's like the Future Cash Flow Club.com. But anyway, the Then There Was series, it goes by like I felt like Will Smith, and this was during the time that Will Smith had slapped Chris Rock. I know y'all remember the incident about it, or if you don't, let me re-jog your memory real quick. I'm gonna go real fast because it's not a lot of time, like I said. So I felt like I was going through relationship problems with my girl, and for a long time, we've been together for a while, but I've been in and out of problems for a while. And I was trying to get my life situated. And I know one day I'm gonna get my life together. I'm still trying, I'm still struggling, right? But no matter what I did for this lady, and I loved her so much, that she didn't appreciate the things I was doing. So I tried things like taking flowers to a job, buying the things unexpectedly, just being nice to her, talking courteous, and doing all the wonderful things that you ladies love. But she was still not buying it. She was not biting the hook on this bait that I was trying to give her. And I felt so hurt and disappointed about it. But I didn't want to go through, I didn't want to go through anything so domestic to try to look like just constantly on her back about the situation. But I really wanted to show her that I really desire her and I really love her. She was the one for me. But she, like I said, she wasn't trying to hear that type of stuff. And I felt so hurt, so disappointed. I didn't know which direction to go. So I got a good friend. You always have a good friend in the neighborhood that always try to tell you the good things. But, being honest, Black people really don't talk to people about their situations and things they go through. But I got a good friend named Jahai Yusuf, and he always give me some good advice. And he's very inspirational. Actually, just put up a YouTube channel. I appreciate that too. But he was telling me stuff like, man, maybe you should go to counseling. And I'm like, man, counseling. Man, we don't go to counseling and telling people all about our business and stuff, especially about your relationship. You don't tell them about your girl and stuff because you think somebody else trying to get her, or it's always some kind of malicious stuff behind those type of things. That's how I feel. And I'm pretty sure there's other people out here that's listening to kind of understand the direction of where I'm going with this. And so I didn't really want to share it with him. But then when I told him, he gave me some good advice. He said, man, maybe you should go to counseling. And I'll give you a name of somebody that I used before. So I listened to him. I contemplated on the situation, and things turned out pretty fair, I must say. I'm going ahead and admit that right now on the podcast. And first of all, before I even start the rest of my show or the rest of this talk, I want to appreciate you for having me on this platform, man, because so far from what I've heard, there are so many different point of views of great people that have different expressions of colorful views. And I'm interested in looking at some of their books as well. So it sounds pretty good. And I appreciate you. And I wish you much success in the future. So thanks for having me once again. So we go from the part about my girl really not understanding the way that I'm trying to come to her and trying to communicate and make things better in our life. And then my friend told me that I should go to counseling. So I tried to listen to him, and I tried the counseling thing, and things worked out pretty fair. So I really wasn't trying to go with the situation of the lady telling me about the lady was the counselor. I wasn't really trying to go with that situation of her telling me like which direction to go with my life, because like I said, we don't really express ourselves to a lot of people, and I'm not from the area where it is. Actually, let me bring that back to you. I'm in the United States. I'm from a small town called Belder Village in St. Louis, Missouri, but I came from Belder Village to North Carolina. So that's where I dwell right now. And that's where I write a lot of my penmanship. I've been writing and rapping and all this stuff for a very long time. So I'm pretty good with the pen, and I can express myself real good. If you want to find any of my books or anything that I do, I'm on mattebooks.org. 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 And this is where I came from with the situation of mattebooks.org. First, my girl wasn't hearing me. She wasn't understanding me. She wasn't giving me no play. I felt real hurt about it, very disappointed, especially for a Black man trying to be with his queen and trying to make things better in the situation. Plus, we have kids. So that makes it a little bit different in the situation. All right. So I wanted to stay at the house to make sure that I showed people that, well, not just show people, but for myself and for the legacy of my name to make things better for our lives. She wasn't trying to go with that. So my friend told me about the situation, or he gave me a name about this counselor. So I started talking to the counselor. I met her and everything. I really wasn't trying to open up to her and things of that nature. And she started telling me about herself. She made me feel real comfortable in the situation. So, it's natural. I started listening. I opened up a little bit. And I agreed with her on some situations. But she was telling me stuff like, hey, man, at your job, I understand you're working a job. And that's where the other part comes from, too. I was working, but the math wasn't mathing. Inflation and things are going up. And I'm working my ass off trying to make things work right. But it just seemed like no matter how much I brought home to the table, things were not right. So I'm trying to get an extra job. Now I'm into real estate. Now I'm trying to do house cleaning. Now I'm trying to get an extra hustle on the side. But this lady was not understanding what I'm trying to say. The lady is my girl, right? So I'm trying to build and make things better. As time go along, the counselor was saying like, well, maybe you should just leave her alone because, the more you all try to hang out together, it seems like she just called the police on you. You're going to keep going back and forth to jail. You got your family interacting in the middle of this, and you all just going to get right back together, off and on and off. And maybe you should seek out somebody else. This person is probably not the person for you. I hear her, but I ain't really hearing her. I hear you talking, but this is my life. How you going to tell me? And that's how I'm feeling. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can understand and relate to what I'm talking about. So that's why I write about the real stuff. I feel it's real. It's very relatable. So as we kept on going along, I listened to it a little bit. And I'm going to speedball through just a couple of quick stories, not too much, because like I said, there's so much to talk about in such a little time. So the counselor was saying, you should go out. And I'm like, man, I don't go out. I'm the guy that go to work and come home and bring the money home. And I'm just trying to make things right. But I find out as you go at 1, 2, 3 pace, that ain't high. That's not really how it works. And I think we've been told a fable. about that. And you really have to be how they say it, when you and the other person are compatible to each other, then you can work together much better. It's almost like the rich dad, poor dad. One person goes to work all the time and the other one wants to be the entrepreneur. And you also have to be compatible and you have to have a foundation. And maybe it should be like in a relational, a structure of maybe it's some kind of spiritual instance. And that's where it came from. So I listened to the lady, you know what? I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna do my thing, I'm gonna enjoy life. And I'm not really looking for nobody because I'm really in love with the other girl. But if I go out and I meet somebody, maybe that's how I should change. And maybe things should change in my life. Hold on, let me show you something. So I got this box right here. It's called a conversation piece, right? And in this box, it has like different little things. So we just say, for instance, I'll just pull out a couple because I don't have a lot of time. So here, we just say, this is Elle. This is one of the first girls I met. This was Letitia. Letitia was a girl that I met at the bar. I went to the bar. We saw. I met her. She looked really nice. We'll just really describe her because I'm just gonna try to go through the story real quick. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time. So she was like about 5'7", brown skin, nice hair. She smelled good. She looked good. Her persona was nice. The conversation was great. But at the same time, don't forget, I'm in love with this other girl, but I met this other lady that brought my interest to a new life. And I'm okay with that. So we started talking. I bought her a drink. We started talking. She bought me a drink. We kept talking. And as time went on, the bar was about to close. So I'm like, well, why don't you come to my house and we can chill? How about Netflix and chill? And she's like, okay, no problem. So we kept on talking and everything. And then we walked to my house because my house was not too far away from the bar. There's no problem. So when we get to the bar, oh, my fault. When we get to the house, then that's when one thing leads to another. Watching TV, drink after drink. We had drinks prior to, and then we end up commencing to have relations. Okay, so in my house, I'm gonna bring it like this. I got the floor that make that noise, that wooden floor that when you step on it, and you can be sleeping, you know where somebody is in your house, right? But then in my house, you got the bed here, and she slept on this side, I was on this side, and the bathroom is over here, right? So we ended up having sex. She put it on me, man. I ain't gonna lie. I hate to say that out in public, but she put it on me. I fell asleep. But some instance, I think she had to pee. So she got up out the bed, she walked around the side of the bed, and my phone was ringing. Now, I didn't have my phone on ring or vibrate that I could hear it. I had it on silent. Just remember that. I had it on silent. So she's walking to the bathroom, and I'm still asleep. She grabbed my phone because she seen it, and she seen it said shopping cart on it. Like I said, I'm speedballing through the situation. She seen it said shopping cart on it. Now she's like, hold on. This guy told me that he wasn't messing with anybody or whatever, but who the hell is shopping cart? Calling like 3 o'clock in the morning. He told me he wasn't with nobody. I wanted to be honest with the guy and everything, but even though it's a one-day thing and we hit already, she's already interested in finding out what's going on in my life. And am I lying like all the rest of the guys, or am I being straight up and trying to be for real and start a real relationship? That's where the interesting part comes from. Because when she went into the bathroom, she goes into my phone, right? She's digging through. She's looking at the text messages. She don't know who shopping cart is. She's looking through the call log. Who is shopping cart? It ain't showing up. She's going through my Facebook and my Twitter and all my information. She's not hearing anything. She's not seeing anything. She's wondering what the hell is going on. Now, she heard the bed move. I got that old school mattress that when you lean a little bit, you hear the noise on it, man. I don't have that regular box spring like everybody else. I got that old school box spring. So when I rolled over, and I was really simply asleep, just rolling over, she thought that I was getting up. So she wanted to contemplate about the situation, like, well, should I put the phone down and act like he left it in the bathroom, or should I take it out and drop it by the bed and act like he was just so drunk and he didn't know no better or whatever? Now this is like a dilemma. So when she peeked out the door and she cracked it open, she seen that I was still asleep, and I just simply rolled over. She went back into the bathroom. That's when she's thinking, I think I know where the guy got the information is, and I'm gonna find out whose shopping cart is. Man, that's a discouraging thing, but it's really scary at the same time. So when she goes back into the bathroom, she closes the door and lock it, and then she goes through my phone, right? Digging through my phone, and she sees all these apps on here and all this stuff. Cause I didn't feel that me personally that I should have to lock my phone because I'm in my house. And plus, she's a guest in my house. And I never thought that I would meet somebody that would go through my phone and my personal belongings. But it was my fault. And I should have secured my security. So she goes back through the phone and she dig in and she's looking around and she still can't find anything. But one thing she didn't do until the last moment, she looked into the notes. And once she pushed notes, all the girls that I've been talking to had popped up in this phone. Now, this lady wanted to come out and confront me. She woke me up and everything, started hollering and blaring and talking all this crazy stuff to me. And that's when, see, I had to leave you with a cliffhanger on that because I do want you to buy the book. And like I said, it's 50 stories in here, man. And I learned a lot of life lessons in these situations that I've been through. But she came out and tried to confront me on something that she dug in my phone, and she was a guest in my house. So that relationship couldn't be. And that's when I went on to move further. And I decided to meet somebody else. And that's when I met Lisa. And it's just pretty much all these stories are it's inspired by the late DMX because he talked about these girls in his song, like what these girls want from a nigga. And, you know, it's different words, verbiage to it. But I pretty much copied all these girls' names, but I gave my situation of how it all happened. That's when I met Lisa. Lisa was a girl that I met basically on a regular day. You know, it's more like I'm going to the store and living as a bachelor and all these things. You know, you really don't have, well, from my perspective, you really don't have, I didn't have a lot of stuff in my refrigerator. So I wanted to cook breakfast in the morning, but I didn't have a lot of stuff in my refrigerator. So I decided to walk around to the store and get my own things. So as, you know, guys open the door for girls and stuff like that. The lady was walking by. I opened the door for her and she was like, she was okay with it. But at the same time, she wasn't giving me no play. And I was like, hey, beautiful, how you doing? Good morning. She just nodded her head and kept on moving. I felt kind of messed up about that. So I wanted to pursue and see what I can do. My game is off.
Matt, can you just start to wrap it up in a minute? Can you hear me, Matt? Matthew?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, can you just take a minute and start to wrap it up?
Yes. I'll wrap it up. Did you say wrap it up?
Yes.
All right. So pretty much about this series of Then There Was, it was more like I spoke to a lot of different girls. I learned a lot of life languages in this situation. Do you have the block on the thing? I see your picture right there. Or are you looking at me?
Oh, no, I'm looking at you.
Oh, okay. I was looking at your little picture there. Well, basically, it's more like about me with relationship advice and things that I've learned in the situation about having multiple women. And then it occurred that I just wanted to tell a story about how I journeyed through trying to be with one woman, and it turned out to be something totally different. And I learned how to be better with just having the right person in my life. So if anybody want to check me out, you can see me at mattebooks.org. The series is called Then There Was. I'm sorry I don't have any book covers or anything to show you, but I'm all over anything that you want to see for social media, like I said. And once again, my name is Matt. mattebooks.org is where you can find me. And thanks a lot for having me on your platform. And like I said, once again, it's your platform is very amazing, and I appreciate it. I hope you got some good substance out of this, and check me out. I got you.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's Matthew Robinson, also known as Matt eBooks. So as he mentioned, the place to check him out is his website. His website is, if you go on mattebooks.org, that is mattebooks.org. You can find out.
Go by.
Sorry?
I said 15 minutes go by really fast. Okay.
You can find out the variety of his books there. I'm also going to be interviewing him for my radio show and podcast soon. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, Matthew Robinson, check out his website, mattebooks.org. I'm now going to go on to the next author speaker. She's joining us. Well, I'm going to let her say where she's joining us from. Millicent A. Graham. So Millicent A. Graham, welcome to the International Book Show. If you would just like to come on, please tell us where you're based, give a brief introduction, and then tell us all about the book you've written, please.
Thanks, McConan. Good afternoon.
Hey,
Thank you.
Well, say good
Are you
evening
hearing
here in
me
England.
clearly? Good evening. I'm in Jamaica, It's just afternoon here. And good evening to everyone on this show, all the writers, especially the poets. McConan, thanks so much for having me on this particular episode to celebrate with you your 4-year anniversary. I'd like to share about my 2 collections of poems. I'm gonna start with my debut collection, which is The Damping Things. And I'm just gonna try to share the book trailer. So this is my book trailer. Are you seeing the video?
Yes, yes.
Great. It's directed by Mizan Ayoka. All right. So that's from my collection, The Damping Things. This is the book right here. The cover is by the artist Casey Ferguson, the very famous young Jamaican visual artist. And it comes at a time when there is a sort of revival of literature and poetry in Jamaica. And that in big part was because of the work of Trinidadian writer Wayne Brown, who started publishing fiction and nonfiction in the local newspapers, making literature accessible to everybody. And just as you're doing, McConan, making literature accessible to everyone, you can imagine when it's on a platform that everyone has access to, people start to talk, stories start to make meaning. It really influences the psyche of the community and the nation on a whole. So that was a really great experience for me being a writer in the 2000s, a Jamaican writer, watching this sort of renaissance occur. And it was in that environment that I have this collection of 40 poems. The collection is published by People Tree Press and available on their website. I'm just gonna put that information in the chat. And People Tree Press is doing the very important work that the publishers here are doing, which is getting stories and poetry out there in the world. Particularly, People Tree Press focuses on Caribbean literature and literature in the diasporas, the Caribbean diaspora. And it's hard to find a publisher, as everyone has said here, it's hard to find a publisher who's going to take the risk of publishing new voices in the Caribbean. So I just want to give a big shout out to People Tree Press and encourage you to go to their website, buy the book there. It's also available on Amazon and I believe it is in some bookstores in the UK, but certainly support the small press, support People Tree Press. I'm going to read a poem from the collection. While I was listening to Matthew, this poem came to mind. Matthew, for all your love relationships, this is from a young lady called Dawn. Your shadow climbs on top my half of the divan. The damp patch of you is cooled by an oscillating fan. Underneath, a fitted sheet forgets, losing its crush to a day not yet solid, but a cut of gentian violet. Sleep till I come. I go with the worn out moon to coronation, to buy ground provision from women with dirt dried aprons and earth stains on the crescent nails, bundled in bales, women like crushed leaves, staining the lining of hand-me-down linen skirts, women bitter like medicine, calling out from yawning holes the names of diggings, their eyes on my bosom. Leaning to one side, I tell time by the lift of dust, the smell of my pits, I know that the dew on your forehead will soon drop like ripe pears, purple and dangling, picking between death or dying, I whisper, stay. To the moon, leaving me to carry the crocus, and don't rise up to the sun. Sleep, sleep till I come, don't rise up till I come. So the collection, it pulls a lot from the experience of women in the Caribbean. It focuses a lot on the day-to-day, and it nicely juxtapositions the traditional with the new. You'll see a lot of urban settings, but then a lot of folklore is weaved in and used as metaphors for very lush language of the poems. Also want to mention that it is that difficult experience of being the bitter and the sweet, or the dampness. That's where the collection gets its name, the damp in things, because it focuses a lot on those, the tender and the dark experiences of growing up in the Caribbean. It looks a lot on relationships and the very complex relationships that you have here in the Caribbean. I'm going to read another one. It's That Life. My grandmother taught me I was Black. The unmistakable pitch in her voice told that my sister's cornmeal skin was sweeter than mine. I measured beauty by the cup of her crackling palm and whether it stroked a cheek to blush or bruises. She made us understand that fairness was as simple as a shade drawn in a public ward to guard her from the prying dark faces we visited each day, hiding the bags of cream crackers and confetti. The closer it got to night was the more she hid her milky teeth and only showed the starless line of her lips. The stars she kept for my sister, the girl with pudding ways. If not for her, we would not know what fear was. So the one of the authors before me spoke about, truths and the relationship between mothers and our children and parents. And one of the things that these poems try to do is reconcile and be a voice for my parents. It looks at the relationships in my family. It looks at, there's a poem called Boy Pitney, which looks at the journey of my father and examines identity from the perspective of a man in the Caribbean, how he grew up with his stepmother and his father. It looks at the day-to-day experiences of living in the country, of work life and school life. And so this debut collection was very, very pivotal in starting a discussion or a discourse that I've been looking at in my research as a writer about what is home and what do we identify the home space to be it emotional or physical. And so I'm going to share the second collection. It's called The Way Home. This is a book. And the cover is by Michael Brooks, another visual artist here, and more of an intuitive. I think he started out as a graphic artist. And the picture you're seeing is of Tasha Park Bridge, which is now, this bridge is no longer in use, but it was a big feature of my childhood. And this is my childhood space on the cover. And so the themes in this collection, they explore a lot about displacement, separation, and it looks at the otherness and feelings of loss. There are images of not just the migrant or the immigrant, but also those who have been left behind in poems like Pui that talks about, it talks about your palm slides into mine. Yeah, the poem Pui talks about being left to use the wire rake to rake clumps of pui leaves while someone is overseas and being nostalgic about the pui. And so it, in this collection, you see a lot of those things. I'm gonna play a presentation. It's about 1 minute. If I can share again. I'm hoping that you are seeing my presentation. This collection was launched in 2015, and it was an amazing experience for me as a writer. It was celebrated at the National Gallery of Jamaica as a culminating event for an activity that looked at 7 phenomenal visual artists in the country. This exhibit 7 women. I'm going to be showing you some of the work that was presented, but also there was a resident collection with people like Ebony Patterson and Colin Garland, which are some of my favorite artists. And so I feel that as if the timing of the launch, it was as if the work was curated for the exhibition. It featured a lot of fauna and birds. And so I'm gonna just go through this short presentation just to give you an idea. Hope you're seeing the presentation. You can just let me know.
Yes, Melissa, can you be very, very quick, please, because of time?
Yeah, I'm just reading one last poem while this goes on. We lived our lives among things that decay. In the yard, the carcasses of deportees became our refugee when we were afraid. Inside their rust fatigue is where we'd be, watching the emerald dragon dart its tongue to stab the diamondback spider that spun its silver in the hollows of the frame. We learned the normalcy of death and shame of sitting by powerless, worse, reluctant to intervene. Trapped in that web, we glimpsed darkness through the bang of a flapping door. We felt dread forming from its metaphor, and our hearts grew giant. How memories seem to jab away at us, even as we live inside their rust. So that's from The Way Home. And as I said, these collections are published by People Tree Press. And so with the link there, you will be able to purchase these two books of poems, The Damp in Things and The Way Home. Thanks, Makonnen. I hope that one day I can come back to talk to you about the drawing room project, because I'm sure the writers here would love to hear about it. It's a community of writers, much like your community of book enthusiasts, and we meet for workshops and to develop our craft.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Millicent A. Graham, and she's joining us from Jamaica. I'm just going to share my screen now. Millicent, can you see your book being displayed on screen? I just want you to let me
Yes.
know. I'm trying to get up. Okay.
Great book cover.
Yes. So Millicent, she talked about her books, The Damp Things, and then later The Way Home. So again, that's Millicent A. Graham. This is the picture of the book, The Way Home. She's also the author of the book called The Damp in Things. It's available, both of the books are available from her website, or the website, I should say, which is www.peapowtrees.com/authors/ Millicent Graham. That is
And I'm encouraging everybody, please, to go to People Tree Press, and just there's so many wonderful Caribbean writers. If you have never been to that website, it is worth it.
Yeah, that's www.peapowtreepress.com/authors/Millicent Graham. If you go on the website, then you'll be able to get a copy of the books, The Damp in Things and The Way Home by Millicent A. Graham. So we are coming to a conclusion now of the International Book Show. Just a few things I want to say before I leave. I did put details in the chat, but if you're author, you're interested in coming on the International Book Show in the future, whether that is the webinar, which happens once a month, this is the webinar, or it's my radio show, my podcast, you should be able to see the screen now on Apple Podcasts. So I do have a radio show on Luton Urban Radio and Pemtengo Radio. Luton Urban Radio every other Monday and Pamtengo Radio every other Wednesday. They're based in UK, but we broadcast remotely. And the authors that go on the radio show, their interviews go onto the podcast on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So you're seeing here Apple Podcasts, where you can listen to a variety of authors that are featured, that I've interviewed. Some of the authors that you've heard today, they will be featuring, on the podcast, like Leonard. I've got Matthew, some of the other authors, that are due to come onto the International Book Show podcast. A lot of the authors that comment that I interview for the webinar, they also, go on to they be interviewed on the radio show and the podcast, so you can hear more in depth about their stories and the books that they've written about. So check out the Apple the podcast. You can check them out on Apple, Spotify, on Amazon Music. Now the interviews, they normally come out on the radio show first. So once they've been broadcasted on the radio, then they'll be put onto the podcast. So like the interview I mentioned with Leonard earlier, that will be coming out at a later stage. And Matthew, I haven't interviewed later, but that will be coming out later on. Please join the Facebook group, the International Book Show Facebook group. If you just go on Facebook and put in the International Book Show, it's the best place to be kept up to date regarding, radio shows, webinars, information in general. In fact, this webinar, if you go on there, as soon as this finishes, you'll be able to go onto the International Book Show Facebook group, and you can share the stream, because the stream stays live. So you'll be able to to share the live stream of the show. But it's useful for other information as well in relating to the International Book Show. Please feel free to share it. The webinar, as well as being shared on Facebook. It will also be going on to P English Literature YouTube channel, as they normally do every month. We post them on P English Literature YouTube channel. You're just seeing on screen, episode of April, but May's one will also be, released later on, very, very soon. So it's a pleasure. It was a pleasure to host this particular international book show. This is it's very special to me because it's like the fourth year. It's the fourth year anniversary one. So I'm hoping, well, at least another 4 years, even longer, to keep growing the platform. And yeah, I would just like to say, please join me again next month. Next month's show will be on Sunday, the 30th of June. So yeah, please join me on Sunday, the 30th of June. If you're on the mailing list, you'll receive updates. If you're not on the mailing list, please join the Facebook group, and then you'll receive information and be kept up to date, via the Facebook group. But that's it for this episode of the International Book Show webinar, May edition. Thank all the authors for joining me. I would just like to say goodbye, wherever you are in the world, whether you're in Africa, the Caribbean, Europe, USA. But thank all the authors for joining, and thank you also for listening. And it's Macaulay Sanko for signing off now, and I'll just like to say goodbye, everyone. Bye.